It was second week when war started, and every day was silence in my city. Everyone was in shock. 21st century European country, I believed that no, it can't be.
The head of the UN nuclear watchdog has condemned the latest shelling of Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant.
When it was occupied or closer to be occupied, and then I told, we need to go now.
Поздравляю вас!
I, as a Russian citizen, can be forced to go to military service.
It was hardest time in all my life. I cry every second. I can't stop. But Anastasia, she always was very strong. She take my hand and say, "Mama, all will be good. God protect us and save us."
Tatiana and her daughter, 14-year-old Anastasia, were among the first Ukrainians to seek asylum in Australia after Russia invaded their country. They were forced to leave behind a husband and father, and what they describe as a good life, which in just a few days had changed forever.
Take one backpack and run in winter. -10 was outdoor. I'm not was ready to run. But my sister who live in Australia and her husband, she say, "Please go to Australia. Please, we do everything for you. We promise that we always caring about you and your child."
I remember how me and my father, we were just hugging and cried all the night because I'm really close to my father. I didn't know when I'm going to see him next time, or will I even see him next time.
A world away and more than a year and a half later, Tatiana and Anastasia are thriving in Australia. Tatiana has a job working to help trauma survivors get treatment, and Anastasia has been accepted into the Sydney Conservatorium of Music. Slowly, the longing for home giving way to the excitement of a new life.
I love music so much. And when I play music, I forget every problems that I have. Your brain is just concentrated on that, and it doesn't think about wars or worried about people that you love. In this atmosphere, in parallel world, there's no problems, and you just play.
In addition to family help, Tatiana and Anastasia received humanitarian visas in a program specifically rolled out for Ukrainians fleeing the war. The vast majority of Ukrainian refugees have fled to European countries, nearly 6 million. Around 400,000 others have traveled beyond Europe, including Australia. Australia granted 11,500 visas to Ukrainians in Ukraine, and thousands more to Ukrainians outside of the country. More than 11,000 Ukrainians carrying visas have arrived in Australia since the war began.
Australia, very rich country, not with money, not with gold. It's with human resource, amazing people. I love these people and this country. They always in my heart, always.
Yeah.
For Hannah and Nikolai, building a new life hasn't been easy. Along with their daughter, they arrived in Australia after the humanitarian visa program for Ukrainians had ended. And while Hannah is Ukrainian, Nikolai is Russian, complicating their situation. They're awaiting approval for protection visas, which would formally recognize them as refugees.
You know, we can't stay in Ukraine. He even can't cross the border with Ukraine now. And he can't stay in Ukraine. I don't want to be without part of my family.
There is like no country to go for us, and also because I have Russian passport, I'm not welcome in Europe.
Yeah.
Like many asylum seekers in Australia, Nikolai and Hannah have struggled to build a new life with just temporary visa status, and few resources. They live with Alison and John at St. George's Anglican Church in Sydney, where John serves as rector.
I was at work at Street Level Mission in Surrey Hills. I'm the receptionist there. John and I were going overseas, and Nick and Hannah came in one day looking for assistance, and that's how it started.
We've had people living with us since before we were married, and they're the easiest people we've ever lived with.
Nick, an IT specialist by trade, helps out with odds and ends around the church, and Hannah makes wares to sell at the markets. But finding full-time work has been hard.
I asked some of recruiting people what could be problem in my situation, and they said you have temporary visa, not permanent. That's why some of employers doesn't want to hire you.
Nick and Hannah's situation highlights the difference between those accepted as refugees in Australia and those seeking refugee status.
The difference is that people come to Australia, if they've come on a humanitarian visa, they're recognised as a refugee and they get full access to services like Centrelink and all the rest of it. If you come and you seek asylum in Australia, you are wanting to be recognised as a refugee, and that might take 6-10 years or more.
The not knowing is really agonising. Hannah grieves for her homeland and she wants to go home, but she can't. So in the middle of this not knowing, there's an inability to move forward in everything.
Nick and Hannah are among nearly 20,000 people in Australia holding some form of temporary protection.
People come here with extraordinary determination and a desire for a better life for themselves in the future and want to be part of the Australian community. What's happened in the absence of real government support is that charities end up doing the work of government, and that's not what we're here for. We don't have the funds for it. It's not sustainable, and the end result of that means people go without.
Played It Forward is an organization that not only provides that practical support, but works to channel the cultural wealth asylum seekers bring to Australia.
The challenges that people that have newly arrived in Australia face is immeasurable. There's a lack of connection to home. There is that feeling of knowing that people are back in circumstances that they've been able to leave, and that weighs on their minds.
Sean Christie David's social enterprise builds restaurants around refugees, employing them to cook and serve their own food.
And we've seen with Kiev Social, you know, we've had people that were there with us from the second day they arrived in Australia. They already started that interview process, and we couldn't speak a word to them. Weeks on in, they're laughing. They're able to swear in Australian, in English, which is you know, a very crucial skill in the hospitality sector. And that level of connection when you sit down and talk to somebody and understand shared history and shared values and recognising each other in each other, that is power.
And Australia, it's my second motherland. We want to have a future here in Australia.
Thank you for hospitality. But what's next?
This process is not very easy, not clear.
Ukraine will win and war will stop as soon as possible, and that in Ukraine going to be peace always. It's my most important wish and hope.